Okay, dear Dhamma friends, so we have come to the second Dhamma sermon in this retreat. So may you give your consent saying sadhu sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Etan santang etam panitang yadidam sabba sankhara samato sabbupati patinissaggo tanhakkayo virago nirodho nibbānanti. Dear Dhamma friends, as you all know, in this series of retreats, we actually kept one sermon as the topic. That was the Seelavanta Sutta. So, according to Seelavanta Sutta, we discussed certain aspects on yesterday. Actually, Seelavanta Sutta is a dialogue between two Arahants, Venerable Mahasariputta and Venerable Mahakottita. So, Venerable Mahakottita is asking a question from Venerable Sariputta that when one is well restrained, what next he has to do. So Venerable Sariputta is directly telling that he has to contemplate about the five clinging aggregates as impermanent, suffering and non-self. So among the terms given in that sutta, there are 6 terms related to suffering, and we discussed in detail about suffering on yesterday. So basically there are certain terms like dukkhato, rogato, gandato, sallato, agato, abadato. So those are the 6 terms given in that sutta, where we look at the sense experience as something impermanent and something actually suffering, not satisfied, not satisfactory. And there are many benefits in looking at like that, because we sometimes tend to think that sensual experience or whatever the kind of satisfaction will ultimately give somehow some lasting happiness. So it's a kind of a delusion that we might have. So in order to penetrate that delusion, so Buddha and the Arahants are repeatedly telling us that this sense experience has to be reflected with an equanimous mind, with a calm mind, how this experience is changing, how much it is vulnerable, and how it is arising and passing away. So it is necessary to look at it like that. So otherwise, it is very difficult to give it up. Because we think that even though right now I am not satisfied, I might be very satisfied, completely satisfied in the future. So you may have a kind of a projection to the future, thinking even though I am not fully satisfied right now, I definitely will be able to find out complete happiness in the future. So even, through the sense desire, sense pressure, or through some kind of achievement, which is worldly achievement, and through such thing, I would be able to have complete happiness. But in Dhamma, we are asked to develop certain spiritual qualities, and with those certain qualities, spiritual qualities, we are looking at our own experience. And we are observing it in a non-judgmental way, and we allow things to talk to us. We allow things to reveal, and we are understanding certain characteristics that Buddha is telling that these things are impermanent, non-satisfactory, unsatisfactory and non-self. So in that sense, Buddha is telling that that we need to look at these conditions in 3 ways, and those are coming as insights. So we need to say that this experience is something that we need to understand. It is not something that we need to avoid or escape from, but we need to fully understand the experience. So that's why, as we all know, as we all do, that we develop some mindfulness, develop some kind of concentration, and then we use that concentration to observe maybe bodily phenomena, maybe feelings, mental states, mental qualities, we are observing. So we are trying to understand how they behave. So there is some kind of unsatisfactoriness, some kind of uneasiness, unhappiness, frustration, and we are not trying to escape from it. Rather, we are patiently looking at it, patiently observing it, fully trying to understand it. So when we are doing it, then we come to some state that to some extent we understood it, and further, still it remains because we are holding on to something. There is some kind of stress available, and it is not going because I am holding on to something. I have some kind of a desire. So that is the second noble truth. So there is a cause of suffering. And that cause has to be let go of. The cause of suffering is the tanha, the craving. The craving has to be let go of. So once the craving has been let go of, once we remove our hand, or once we get out of the scene, once we let things happen, then there's a kind of a revealing, then there's a kind of a understanding that the existed suffering, existed unhappiness is now coming to its own terms. We are no more feeding it. We are no more grasping it. We are no more clinging to it. Rather, now it is going on its own, and since it's not getting our strength, since we are not getting deluded by it, it has the nature of ending. It has the nature of ceasing. So that is where the third noble truth comes into effect, where we allow all conditioned phenomena to come to a natural ending. So typically what happens is, we forcefully trying to end phenomena. We forcefully trying to finish certain things. So that is not the approach either. And on the other hand, we are not grasping things. We are not holding things. We are not empowering things. Rather, we step back and maintain some equanimity and looking at things objectively, seeing what is happening. And then we understand that there is a kind of a pattern. So any kind of conditioned phenomena, there's a kind of a pattern. They are nature of arising, and they are changing, and ultimately they disappear, they pass away. So logically it is quite easy to understand this. So even if we teach this to a young student, so they also can understand it. But this logical understanding is not enough for the mind. So that is where the meditation, mindfulness exercises are quite important, where we have to develop certain mental qualities in order to have a fair looking at, fair understanding it. And that helps to naturally seize these things. So, in the statement that I have taken as a topic, there are certain really interesting points highlighted by the Buddha. This statement actually appears at many places in the Sutta Pitaka, where Buddha is explaining certain qualities of Nibbana. So, cessation of suffering has the taste of freedom, has the taste of Nibbana. So, in a way, it is interesting to look at these terms so that we will understand where we are going. Through the practice, to which direction we are going. So, let's little analyze this phrase that I have used as a topic on today's Dhamma sermon. So, it says, Etang Santang. It is peaceful. Now, through meditation, we get sometimes extremely blissful states. Say some certain samatha practitioners, they go to some extremely blissful jhanic states, absorptions, and they stay there for hours, and say for example first jhana, it is saying that certain factors are there. It is some kind of thrills are there, some rapture is there. So it is really blissful. But it is not related to Nibbana. In the sense that Nibbana doesn't say it is that kind of bliss is there, rather it is santang. Santang means it is peaceful. In a way, it is a kind of matured happiness. So at the beginning, it is with rapture, it is with applied mind, sort of a lingering mind, some happiness, and all sort of little gross happiness is there. But more and more one is developing, this happiness is changing to a refined state. So it becomes kind of a matured happiness. So the ultimate matured happiness is what we call as Nibbana, that is called santang. That is peaceful. Etang panitang, it is sublime. It is not a kind of sensual gratification type of thing, sensual pleasure type of thing, which is some vulnerability is there, but this is little more, it's not worldly, rather this is some sublime state is there. Etam santang, etam panitang, yadidang sabba sankhara samato. Now, through the practice, what we are observing all can come to one group, what we call as sankhara. All the conditioned phenomena we can call as sankhara. So, it may be bodily phenomena, it may be feelings, it may be various mental states, mental qualities. So all these are conditioned phenomena. And they have the quality that they will never give us complete happiness. And they will always subject to some kind of change on which we have no control at all. Suppose we are experiencing some happiness, some pleasant experience is going on and we are happy about it. Even though it is really blissful, even though we want to have it more, we can't hold it, we can't keep it. It has its own terms, so it will ultimately fades away. So it is time to time we can achieve such happiness, we can experience such happiness, but still it won't last. Similarly, even painful experience. There are certain unsatisfactory, painful feelings occur, and that too is not lasting, it also changing, and it also will ultimately disappear. Likewise, even certain mentalities, we may have lust, we have anger, we have conceit, variety of things, but all coming and going. So, even though it is easy to say these things, we need to observe these states again and again. It is not once, twice, but again and again. More we understanding it, more we understand that going along with these things will not give me lasting happiness. If I am trying to achieve something, if I am trying to get hold on to something which is changing, if I am trying to hold something which I have no control at all, then how can I find happiness from such thing? So that is where Sabba Sankhara Samatha is coming into effect. So one will even can logically understand, if there is no such kind of vulnerable state, there is no such change, there is no arising and passing away, then there is a possibility of a lasting happiness. Sabbupadi patinissaggo. Now, when we have some asset, when we have something belong to us, so it may be really useful, it may be really valuable, but still it has some kind of attachment. And since it is valuable, we don't want to lose it. Since we want to protect it, there's a kind of a friction attached to it. Suppose we have really valuable jewelry, so we want to hold it, we want to protect it from thieves. and we belong it, and we want to hold it, we want to protect it, and all involve some kind of activity, and it develops some kind of tension, some stress. So, any kind of belonging, therefore, is in a way is a kind of a burden. So, as you coming to meditation, so more and more you understanding things, so you, at least temporarily, you like to have a freed mind. So you like to have, at least for temporary experiment, you want to free your mind from every attachment. So forget about the things. And keep the mind entirely free from all attachment. So that is some kind of direction that we need to move, where one will understand more we have, more will be suffering. So sometimes it is opposite to the typical economic terms. So economic terms say, so more and more you have, more and more happiness you can bring, you can feel. But in the opposite, Dhamma says, more you have, more you will be burdened, more you encounter trouble. So there's a beautiful statement from Ajahn Chah. He says, if you let go little, then you have little freedom. If you let go more, you have more freedom. If you let go totally, you have total freedom. So in a way, so it is us that we are avoiding freedom because we are holding something. So at a time, in a given time, if we are able to completely let go things, then we, at that moment, we should be able to feel completely free. Then tanhakkayo. So where we even yesterday discussed that the suffering, unsatisfactoriness, or little even tension, stress, is due to some kind of holding, some kind of grasping, some kind of desire. So that desire has to be let go of, and it is happening naturally, it is happening again and again, and it's a gradual fading away of desire. So Venerable Sariputta once explained what is Nibbana. He is giving very concise definition for Nibbana. He says, Ragakkayo, Dosakkayo, Mohakkayo. That is the Nibbana. So complete eradication of lust, complete eradication of ill will, complete eradication of delusion. In a way, that is the final goal. But when we are practicing, at least temporarily, we can experience this kind of freedom in the mind. It is not necessary to think that the Nibbana is it's entirely sort of blissful state or peaceful state available in a very far, and I am now practicing, still I couldn't achieve it. Rather, the practice helps us to have momentarily peace, momentarily release from suffering, momentarily experiencing of this unattached state of mind. So it is not that we are practicing now to achieve Nibbana in the future. Rather, right now practice will help to release suffering right now. So immediately we will understand the ceasing of suffering. So on the other hand, as I mentioned earlier, rather than we are trying to escape from suffering, we look at suffering and understand the cause of suffering. That is the craving, somewhere we are holding, or somewhere we want to be something different than the existing way. So we are having some kind of a friction with the existing state. So we understand this issue. We understand where the problem is, and that problem, that holding, that grasping, we are avoiding. We are letting go. We release our hand, and then naturally that unsatisfactoriness, that tension, that stress naturally starts to fade away. One will again come back to equanimity or peace. Then there are another term called virago, dispassion. So sometimes when we are experiencing sensual satisfaction, so it does not mean dispassion. Rather, it is giving some kind of passionate experience. So the experience itself is catching ourselves, deluding us. It's giving us some kind of pleasure. But here, it is kind of a dispassion. So it is not kind of a elated state, but rather kind of a equanimous state. What is Buddha is telling? Nibbana. Then Nirodho. So there is no arising and passing away. Rather it's a kind of a peace, kind of a equanimity, simplicity there. So one may not be subjected to arising and passing away, the torturing of the conditioned phenomena. Nibbanang, there's a complete extinguishing. So fire was gone. So something like that. So these are certain terms that we can think even logically where we are going to direct our practice. So if we consider our real day-to-day practice in meditation, how we are coming towards this goal. Suppose someone is practicing Kaya Anupassana, say he is being attentive to in-breath and out-breath. So he is aware now in-breath is happening, he is aware now out-breath is happening. So it is just beginning. Simply developing mindfulness. In-breath, out-breath. In-breath, out-breath. So sometimes we might feel, so this is very kind of a primitive exercise, how one can lead to such a high goal through this kind of simple activity. Actually we need to start from somewhere, because our hindrance power is so powerful, hindrances are so powerful that we need to have certain mental qualities to develop, certain positive mental qualities to develop to overcome these hindrances. So through these meditation practices, we are developing these spiritual qualities. Say mindfulness, we are slowly developing. We are developing attention. We are developing equanimity. We are developing concentration. We are developing effort. So likewise, spiritual qualities we are developing. And Buddha says there are 37 such enlightenment, conducive factors, and among them mainly say 7 factors of enlightenment actually we have to develop. Sati, Dhammavicaya, Viriya, Piti, Passaddi, Samadhi, Upekka. So mindfulness one has to develop. The sort of inquiring mind, wisdom one has to develop. Effort one has to develop. Kind of happiness, mental happiness, contentment one has to develop. Tranquility, feeling composed without being restless. So such quality one has to develop. Concentration one has to develop. And the equanimity one has to develop. So these are certain things we have to gradually develop. So we can't immediately have them through an injection. So we need to understand our mind has right now not to that level, and we have certain qualities to be developed. So that is something to do practically. We can't take things outside, inside to the mind. Rather, internally we have to develop. So that is why many meditation techniques are available to develop these internal qualities. So we need to understand there are certain effort we need to exert to develop these things honestly. It may take time, and we have to be patient, and we have to allow these spiritual qualities to develop naturally without trying to sort of forcefully develop them. Say for example, if we are sort of cultivating certain say plant, so it has its own pace to give fruits. It may take some time, several years maybe. So similarly in meditation also, so we have to you have to prepare the causes till we get the fruits. So if we are very much impatient, if we are very much result oriented, then that gives us kind of a frustration. Because we are always going after results, always frustrated. Why it didn't happen yet? So I am still unenlightened. So I am still a worldling. So we are continuously sort of unsatisfied. Rather, it is true that we need to practice, but when we are practicing, we have to maintain some kind of peace in the mind, some kind of happiness in the mind, lightness in the mind. So then only the positive qualities have an environment to develop. Suppose one is developing this anapanasati like that, so he is not in a rush. So he is simply looking at in-breath, looking at out-breath, looking at in-breath, looking at out-breath. So Buddha says, so each and every such activity add little bit of mindfulness, add little bit of effort, add little bit of concentration, add little bit of wisdom, add little bit of equanimity. So that is how we are developing these spiritual qualities. So as we develop, so our mind starts to collect. It was dispersed, it was going to various other things which it was interested about, but now we restrain the mind. We again and again keep it in the correct path. Now it is slowly restraining. And we further empowering the mind, and then we can understand, now there is something called mindfulness. I was not mindful, my mind was wandering, I was daydreaming, inner chattering, everything was there. Now it is little peaceful. Now I can be in the present moment. There is from this end to the other end I can walk mindfully. So as a faculty, we understand mindfulness. Then when mind is going down, we again lift it up. When things are going wrong, it try to depress, again we lift it up. So as a quality effort, we understand. Effort is very useful. We understand how to strengthen the mind. So as a quality effort, virya, we understand. Then sometimes, even though it takes months, years, still we couldn't achieve the goal. So then, still we need to trust that this path will give me freedom from suffering. So we have to maintain some trust. So we are developing faith as a quality. So we need to have faith on Buddha, have faith on Dhamma, have faith on Sangha, have faith on Kalyana Mittas. So even though right now I can't have the complete freedom, I trust that this is possible. And I am continuously maintaining it. So Saddha as a quality, as a faculty, I understand. Now it is available in the mind. Then sometimes when we are developing mindfulness, when we are practicing, the mind feels very collected, feels concentrated. It is staying with the breath. I don't need to forcefully bring it back to the breath, but mind itself staying with breath. So we understand there's a quality where mind starts to go in the same object, taking the same object. Again and again, mind is being with the same object. So we understand concentration. In the Vipassana terms, sometimes mindfulness is there, even though the objects are changing, still continuous mindfulness is there. It does not unnecessarily go to distractions, rather it has now tamed. It is behaving as we like. So we have understood there's a type of concentration. So we understand the faculty of samadhi. Again, we sometimes understand, time to time we get deluded. We are going on various stories. Sometimes we get conceited. We feel lustful. We feel angry. So we understand these drawbacks in ourselves and finding out ways how to avoid such, how to be free from defilements, how to maintain equanimous mind. So we understand what are our difficulties, what are our drawbacks, what are the wrong trends in our mind. So likewise, we are developing wisdom. More we develop like this, so we are now very much understanding these inner capacities. So now we are watching ourselves. Now the path is begin. Now we are into understand more about the phenomena. So we are observing. So there are not only the breath now. Now there are certain other qualities. There are certain characteristics of the breath. Breath sometimes appears or feels like hot, sometimes cold, sometimes like vibration, sometimes calm, sometimes light, sometimes gross. So certain subtle qualities we understand. More we understand such, further we understand there are some common characteristics to everything. So all these things are changing. We have no control. So when something is changing, when something is without my control, it cannot give me lasting happiness. So we understand these characteristics. So more we understand, then more we keep little distance from these conditioned phenomena. So similarly, suppose we are observing sensations. So happy sensations are happening, painful sensations are happening. We can't say where the next one will happen, and we can't predict when the arisen sensation will disappear. So we, under very nose, we are experiencing these things. So more and more we experience, more and more we observe, we understand characteristics of these things. They are subject to arise, they are subject to change, they are subject to disappear. We understand about the mind. So mind has many states. Sometimes it is lustful, sometimes it is angry, sometimes it is conceited, sometimes very happy, sometimes frustrated, sometimes diffused, sometimes collected. So all these are temporary. Even though sometimes we feel angry, this anger even can't last forever. Even though we feel lustful, lust can't last forever. Even though sometimes we feel conceited, even conceit can't last forever. So these are coming and going. So we understand these things. Sometimes mind has mindfulness. Sometimes it is not. Sometimes it is with equanimity. Sometimes it is not. Sometimes it is very effortful. Sometimes it is feeling lazy. So all these things are changing. So more and more we look at these things, we understand how can we trust these things. So all these things are really vulnerable. So then we are changing the perspective. We understand all these things are arising due to causes. Till the causes are powerful, they last. When the causes are not powerful, when the causes are changing, then these results are also changing. Causes are changing, results are changing. Causes are impermanent, results are also impermanent. Causes can't give lasting happiness, then the results also can't give lasting happiness. So all these things, internally we understand. More we understand, more we let go. So Buddha says, if someone understands things as they truly are, letting go happens naturally. It is not that we have to forcefully let go things. More we understand, this very understanding help us to release things. Help us to keep our hand away, be distant from these conditioned phenomena. Let go, let be, let things be, and we are simply observing things. So the equanimity develops. Suppose someone is now coming to this stage, now his mind is fairly equanimous. So he is now observing things. He can come to equanimity fairly easily. He is observing maybe bodily phenomena, maybe observing feelings, observing mental states. Anything, he finds that they have common characteristics. They are impermanent. They can't give lasting happiness. And you can't control them. They come and go. And he is now very much relaxed. And now the rate of these occurrences are also somewhat reduced. They are not coming and going rapidly, but they are coming and going under your very nose. You have a very equanimous, tranquil mind, tranquil environment, so that you can look at these things precisely. Look at these things clearly. More and more you look at these things clearly, more and more clarity arises in the mind. So you are losing the grip. You are losing the lust towards these things. You are losing the desire to these things. More you release your hand, more you release this grip, so they now come to their natural passing away. Now you are not empowering them. You see that they are rising. You are not participating. You are not feeding them. You don't dilute them. But you are not empowering them, so they are simply going on their own. It's ceasing. Another one comes, rising, appearing for a while, changing, they are going. Now you see that going, passing away. They are passing away. They are coming, passing away, passing away. So this passing away side one would see. More one would see that more relinquishment, more peaceful, more relaxed. Because you understand it does not belong to you. It's a natural phenomena. They occur by their own. They have their own causes. It doesn't belong to you. There is no I. And you peacefully observe these things. And there may be time that certain things pass away. It may be a characteristic, elementary characteristics, and it may be feelings, it may be mental state, something, whatever condition has passed away, but there is no arising happen yet. Then you feel some kind of a difference. Sometimes we call as space, where you feel that right now, even though I am mindful, there is nothing to observe. There is no arising and passing away. Something extremely relaxed, but extremely boring. So, the very first time one would feel it, so it appears extremely boring. Because nothing to observe, nothing is there. Simply spacious. Mind is entirely free, but you can't feel any happiness. It's very much like bored, dull state of mind. So then, say teachers encouraging, okay, just don't worry, just practice it again, go to that state again, make it abundant, see that gap again. So teachers are encouraging. So you believe them, you trust the teachers, you trust the Buddha, and you go to that state prepared. Again you encounter it. The second time it's a little somewhat okay, because you know that dull state. And next time you go. Now it's little enlarged. You spend that time maybe reluctantly, stay there. Next time you stay there 5 minutes. Next time you stay there 10 minutes. Next time you stay there 15 minutes. Next time you stay there 30 minutes. So more and more, now mind understands something. That there is some kind of unattached, unentangled, free state of mind which is utterly simple. There is no objects to see, but still very wakeful, still very mindful. So more and more one will understand that, then one will come to a different paradigm where mindfulness is available, but no objects are there. There is consciousness available, but there are no objects to be conscious. There is equanimity available and utter simplicity of mind. So sometimes we might think that when we have a lot of knowledge, book knowledge, it is easy to go to this kind of state. But in contrary, more we proliferate, more we think about these things, it hinders the progress. Because we can understand our mind requires to appreciate simplicity, appreciate this peace, appreciate this kind of monotony. Then only mind tends to understand the freedom. That is why Buddha says it is peace. It is not a kind of a bliss, but rather it is a kind of peace. There is no torturing of the arising and passing away of phenomena, but rather things have passed away, but nothing is there now. So more and more one is understanding it. So Buddha says, so keep your mind free from defilements. So he says, when you are eating, keep your mind free from defilements. When you are walking, keep your mind free from defilements. When you are sitting, keep the mind free from defilements. When we are sleeping, keep the mind free from defilements. So what is the way to keep the mind free from defilements? So in other sutta Buddha says, the best freedom, the complete eradication or the entirely pure state of mind is kind of emptiness. So when you are keeping the mind empty, then there is no way of arising and passing away. There is no way of defilements to appear. So you are understanding this emptiness, appreciating emptiness. And one will feel the term Sabba Sankhara Samato. That you, rather than doing something, you sit and wait. So one will come to a state where you simply sit and watch the mind. So nothing to practice Anapanasati, nothing to practice Vedananupassana. Simply very relaxed, equanimous, and simply watching the mind. So mind may be empty or currently going through some temporary state, which may be lustful, which may be angry, which may be conceit, whatever, but he maintains equanimity because he knows they are impermanent. Ultimately it will go away, it will fade away and come back to emptiness. So Buddha says, when one comes to such state, he can't force the growth. So he has to understand how to develop Bojjhanga, how to develop faculty, these factors of enlightenment. So Buddha says, Viveka Nissitang, Viraga Nissitang, Nirodha Nissitang, Vassagga parinaming sati sambojjhangam bhaveti. So one understand now, still I need mindfulness, I need to develop further mindfulness, but I can't do it in a rush. It is happening due to cause and effect. Now causes are there. If causes are there, I am maintaining some rest in the mind, some peace in the mind. There is no rush. Nothing much to do. So even some defilement is present in the mind, so you have some dispassion to it. You are not getting deluded to it. Viraga nissitang. So whatever, even the positive quality, say some saddha is there, but still you know it is also coming and going. So viraga is there, dispassion is there to whatever the condition phenomena. So you rather appreciate emptiness than any of these vulnerable state. Nirodha nissitang. So you like that emptiness than these changing phenomena. And whatever is coming, you are simply letting go. Vassagga parinaming, you are not holding to anything. You maintain some kind of independency. You know if you are leaning to something, if you are depending on something, it is giving some kind of friction. You have to depend on it. When you are holding an object, that object colors the mind. So you understand the harm in such dependency. More you understand that harm, so you like to keep your mind free. You like to keep your mind simple. You like to keep your mind empty. But it does not mean that we sort of obsessed with this kind of emptiness. And Buddha says it is not necessary at all. But rather the attitude is, we are using this emptiness as a baseline to understand defilements. So more one is associating emptiness, it is very much like a completely white cloth. So when a cloth is entirely clean and white, when even a dot of ink is dropped, when even a drop of dirt is dropped, is there, it is clearly visible. So similarly, more one associate emptiness, the very moment a defilement arises, one is very much aware of it. Because it immediately shows. Because you were in a very calm state of mind, empty state of mind, now there is a friction. Now there is a rising and passing away. Now there is a frustration. Now there is a little tension. Now there is a little stress. So you are understanding it. So what's the practice? So you understand the stress and you look at it objectively. It is not I am suffering. It is stress is there. Right now, some unsatisfactoriness. So what is the cause? Now you understand the unsatisfactoriness. You step back and understand the unsatisfactoriness. More you understand the cause as well. So where am I holding? What am I expecting? So right now the conditions are not satisfactory. So what I want things to be otherwise. Right now I am not happy. The way it is not happy. So I want something to be otherwise. So if I am avoiding that desire, if I am fully accepting the present moment, then there is nothing to worry. So simple acceptance. So I am simply letting go that desire to change and simply be with it. And if I am releasing like that, then the frustration developed, the stress developed, slowly fades away. Come back to emptiness. A defilement arises. So because the asava anusaya is there, latent tendencies are there, so defilements arise. So you understand. Now you are not worried or afraid of these defilements, but rather you understand your sort of trends in the mind, wrong trends in the mind. So these trends we have to surface up. So when they come to the surface, we are now looking at them objectively, looking at them honestly, humbly. More we looking at them in that manner, there's a fair chance of avoiding such trends, cutting off that trends, at least to weaken that trends. So kind of due to a latent tendency, certain trend is coming up, certain mental pattern is coming up, mind is thinking in a certain pattern. So we are looking at that pattern. We watch how mind is trying to jump, and by looking at it, we are no more participating in it, we are no more encouraging it, we no more deluding to that. Since it is losing the power, since it is not getting the power from ourselves, not getting the strength from the mind, it can't last forever. So the trend is cut off, trend is weakened, and the recent defilement fades away. So we are now slowly reducing the trends. We are slowly weakening the trends. Still mind may be going to last. Still mind get sometimes angry. Mind may get conceited. So all these things we understand. So sometimes even mindfulness showing these drawbacks, still due to the power of the defilements, power of the influxes, we get caught. But later time, we understand, I see, I got caught at that time. So we have some kind of accounting. So we understand at that time I get caught, at another time I get caught, this time I get caught. So when we do some kind of reflection, we understand there are certain occasions I was caught up with certain defilements. So the practice next will be how to avoid such delusions. Time to time, it is then and there. It is not that practice is just limited to sitting and walking. Now the practice is extremely practical. That is where Buddha is telling, tatta tatta vipassati. Then and there you have to practice. Then and there mind sometimes grabs, mind sometimes grasps. And at such occasion, at that occasion, you have to release. So you have to watch the mind every time. You are looking after the mind. You may be doing various things, but you have another thread looking at your mind. So whenever mind is going in wrong direction, you step back, you are understanding it, and avoid that trend without strengthening that wrong trend. So this practice actually will take time. And is there any shortcut? So Buddha says, as we discussed in the discussion also, in the Sabbasava Sutta, Januto aham bhikkhave passato asavanam khayang vadami. So the one who sees, the one who knows, to such person only I preach that complete eradication, complete uprooting of influxes is possible. So we have to be patient. So we have to allow things to happen. At first we may be controlling. At first we are developing certain qualities. But later we allow things to happen. We allow mind to go. We allow mind to go in on its own. If still it is going to lust, so we need to understand, still I have lust. If it is still going to ill will, I have to understand, I still have ill will. If it is still going to conceit, I have to understand, I have conceit. So how much humbleness we should have, how much honesty we should have to look at these defilements. So that is where it's a kind of an inward journey. We are going on our own, honestly, innocently, peacefully, taking time. And slowly we understand ourselves. We understand the others are suffering due to their own causes. They can't understand this kind of process. They are under the power of defilements. I also was under the power of defilements. Due to the practice, at least to some extent, I can be free now. I can maintain some free mind, pure mind, empty mind, defilement-free mind. But others, majority, are deluded. So you have some compassion towards others. You sympathize others. There are no real sort of fools. Rather, they are under the power of defilements. So the practice of emptiness actually builds up a lot of compassion. Because more you understand these qualities, spiritual qualities, you understand how helpless unmindful people are. How helpless the people who are under the power of defilements. Because they are accumulating their own wrong karma unknowingly. But the purity is available within oneself. This emptiness, this purity is not something you bought from supermarket. This is not something you injected from outside. But it was within you. So our practice was slowly remove those defilements. So once we remove the defilements, this inherent inner purity was coming up. This inherent inner purity was there. That's why Buddha says, Pabassaramidam bhikkhave chittang panchako agantukehi upakkilesehi upakkilittam. Monks, this mind inherently pure. But due to these foreign defilements, these strangers, these aliens, it is get defiled. So our practice is to understand this. So Buddha says, when one understands that inner purity is available, so he trusts the Buddha, he trusts the Dhamma, he trusts the Sangha. He understands that purity is available, freedom is available. It is not that you have to die and find it. It is within ourselves. So we need to develop certain spiritual qualities. We need to subside certain unwholesome qualities. And ultimately, certain positive qualities are coming to the surface to completely uproot those defilements. So more and more we uproot those defilements, the inner purity, inner happiness, inner peace start to last for a long time. So more and more you practice, more and more you understand there is no point of attaching to these impermanent conditions. No point of leaning to these impermanent conditions. Because happiness, sensual happiness is there, conceit is there, maybe ill will is there, various states are there, but all are conditioned. I have no power on them. I can't control them. They arise by their own due to various external conditions. And they are therefore extremely vulnerable because I can't control those conditions, causes. So why should I attach to those conditions? Why should I attach to those states? So rather, I better trust this simplicity. Rather, I better trust this mindfulness. So Buddha says in Dvaitanupassana Sutta, which comes in Sutta Nipata, Anissito na chalati, nissito cha upadiyam. Itta bhavang yatha bhavang sansarang nati vattati. Anissito na chalati. If someone is completely independent, he has no wavering. Because mind is entirely free, entirely empty, there is no vulnerable state of the mind. Mind is free. So therefore, mind is not wavering. It is very stable. Nissitocha upadiyang ittabhava anyatha bhavang sansarang nati vattadi. But when we are attached into something, when we are leaning to something, when we are depending on something, it always going to this state, to that state, to this state, to that state. It's continuous vulnerability is there. So it is never overcoming samsara. We can't penetrate samsara. Because always that conditioned phenomena is governing ourselves. That conditioned phenomena is dictating us, coloring the mind. We are holding it and it is coloring ourselves. It is governing us. So we can't be free. Etamadinavang nyatva nissayasu mahabhayam anissito anupadano sato bhikkhu paribbaji. So when one understands the danger in such dependency, he understands it is extremely dangerous to hold on to such conditioned phenomena. He understanding it through experience. And when he understanding it, anissito, then he starts to keep the mind independent. He does not trust these impermanent conditions. He like to be independent. He like to keep the mind free, not colored. Keep the utter simplicity. Keep it empty. Anupadayo. Anissito anupadano. He's not grasping things. If he grasps, then he has to suffer. Because the grasped object won't last. It will start to overpower you. It will last to color you. It will last to change. It lasts to disappear. So you are going to suffer. So you start avoid grasping. You keep things happen. You take your hand. You let things go. Sato, it is necessary to have mindfulness to maintain such kind of vigilance. Anissito, anupadano, sato. There are 3 qualities Buddha mentioned there. Anissito, so he likes to keep independence. Anupadano, without attaching anything. Sato, he likes to maintain mindfulness. Continuous mindfulness as much as possible he is maintaining. Sato bhikkhu paribhaja. That is how he is going forth. So these are 2 beautiful verses comes in Dvaitanupassana Sutta. I will iterate this only the English terms. One who is independent does not waver. One who is dependent, clinging to this state, that state, and doesn't go beyond samsara. Knowing that dependent to these conditioned phenomena is dangerous. One maintain oneself independent, not clinging, ever mindful. That is how one will go forth. So I will give these 2 verses for your reflection, and I hope that give us some kind of strength to travel in this path. So it may lead us to some kind of matured happiness, matured peace, and for lasting happiness, and ultimately to be free from all the defilements and attain path, fruition, nibbana.